Hello. Today I want to do a little bit of a follow-up after returning from the Money and You program that I mentioned in my last blog. Um, there's so much that came up in Money and You that there's no way that I can share it all with you in this short little video. But there are a couple of key concepts that I really wanted to just introduce to you because I think that it may be of great benefit. The number one, which will be the title of this post, is post-traumatic growth syndrome. One of the things that Marshall talked about was that we often lift up resilience, which is the ability to bounce back. And in and of itself, it's a good thing. But what he offered was the idea of post-traumatic growth syndrome, which is that after you go through a difficult experience, you come back stronger and better than what you were prior to that experience. So it's not just resilience where you go here, drop here, come back up, and you're right back where you were, but going beyond that. And that's something that a lot of us are inspired by when we hear stories of people falling down and then getting up, but not just getting up, excelling, going Hydra. So I just said going Hydra, something that you might not have heard of. That is, I guess, an imagery for the core concept that we were talking about in the idea of post-traumatic traumatic growth syndrome. Going Hydra is indicative of that concept that is known in Greek mythology, where the mythical creature Hydra would lose one head, and rather than die, it would actually come back better with two heads. And you know how they say two heads are better than one. So this is the concept that we're talking about. And a lot of us have had those kinds of experiences that we bounce back and found ourselves stronger. We've heard the saying, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. But I want to take it a step further. So with Hydra, the way that I relate it to, I kind of have that tendency in my life anyway, but now I just want to apply it to even more things. And you know, the universe is kind of funny. When you want to take on something, usually something shows up to just kind of test you. Not specifically test you exactly, but just to kind of give you an opportunity to just test the concepts that you say that you want to uplift or uphold. So just in brief, I'm going to tell you a couple of things that happened once I got very excited about Hydra. So after the whole program was over and I was thinking about how I want to share this with you guys, I had a couple of experiences, and they were just great opportunities to just grow heads all day long. Because a couple of things happened. As I was leaving, I realized that I lost my credit card. That's one thing. And I was on my way out of Fort Collins. 2, lost my keys, so that when I got back home, I didn't really have keys to drive my vehicle back home. 3, I used the downloadable on my smartphone to download the code so that I could go through the checkout line at the airport without having to print out a ticket. And when I got there, for some reason, the people said that they couldn't use my code, even though it was the exact same. They wouldn't be able to scan my boarding pass on my phone because it wasn't a QR code. And even though I'd done it previously in Boston, for some reason in Denver, the person said they couldn't do it. And it was really close to my flight taking off at this point. And they sent me all the way back to go to the place to print out the boarding pass. And when I went to print out the boarding pass, the person told me, well, why didn't you just use the downloaded one on your phone? And I said, they told me that I couldn't. He said, that is incorrect. I learned some lessons from that. I had to go back. Then while I was sitting there waiting for my flight, which ended up being late, I got an email saying that I had a new bill for my internet service. And that would be normal, except for it was internet service at a place that I don't live anymore, and I found out that I was continually getting billed for it. And when I called them to say, I remember distinctly contacting you to cancel my service, they said, no, we didn't. You didn't call us to cancel. You called for a repair, which was inaccurate information. I had to go through a bunch of loops before they finally credited me so that I don't have to pay this bill that I actually had no reason to pay. And I'm sure there's more. But it all happened, and I just had to keep laughing and laughing, growing heads the whole time. And it just seemed very curious that right after I learned about Hydra and had a word for what I was already doing in my life, it ended up that I had so many opportunities to do it. This is not very exciting, but I just wanted to put it out there for you guys because in everybody's daily life, we run into so many things that can take our energy, take our joy, take our juice. And when it does, we think it's pointless. But if you flip the script and you think about going Hydra, every time one of those things comes up, you actually have an opportunity to be better. So as I today have called all over the planet trying to find my keys because I'm not sure if I lost it between Boston, somewhere between Boston and Denver, where I don't know. I've found out, and I guess I should say this, to replace my key is $179. So at any rate, in the course of it, I was always thinking about this Hydra concept. And as I called people and tried to look for my keys in all the different airports and a few places I stopped, I really kind of felt good about it in a lot of ways. I saw my keys as not just, losing my keys is not just an inconvenience, which as Bill Allen told us many times, that the road to success is filled with inconvenience. I also found it as an opportunity and a reason to connect with people that I may have not otherwise connected with. And I have to say that I connected with a lot of good people today in the name of these lost keys. So that's another thing that we can pick up. I know this might sound like a lot of rambling, but I know that there are jewels in there. So if you want to do the work and look for the jewels and all the stuff that I just said, I encourage you. And if you can't find yourself looking for the jewels in this ramble that I just did, just read below because I'm going to write it out more clearly and more succinctly. But you know how I do it. I do a little stream of consciousness and just see what comes out and expand from there. At any rate, I'm glad I had the opportunity to share this with you. There's going to be more that I'm going to share with you as days go on from what I've learned from this course. And I just want to say that we live in an abundant world. Abundance is reality. And I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to reach out to you through the abundance of technology we have. Please feel free to reach back. Take care.